Child, I need my black brothers and sisters to come to the front of the room. I think we need a whole church service because I feel some of my brethren and sisters getting a little weak. And I think those empathy muscles are starting to flex because I've seen a couple of people trying to hint that we may need to help because they don't know how. And I was reminded just the other day, white folks know how to protest. Baby, they don't need us. They've been protested for years, decades, centuries. So this message is for everybody who just now starting to speak French, talking about we need to come together. Let me remind you. Hold on. Jim Crow era and the immediate backlash of integration, 1940s to the 1960s. Little Rock 9. Armed white mobs scream at black children. The White Citizens Council. Suit and tie segregationists organize boycotts, protests, and intimidation campaigns. Or how about in New Orleans? School integration, 1960s. White mothers pulled kids out of schools, protested daily, and harassed Ruby Bridges. Or what about the massive resistance? States literally shut down public schools rather than integrate. Protesting. What about in the 1950s to the 1970s? Neighborhood and housing integration. Levittown. Riots, vandalism, mass protests when black families moved in. Chicago, Detroit, Philly. White residents protested, attacked homes, and marched to keep neighborhoods segregated. Banks and residents worked together to enforce redlining after protests failed. When schools were integrated, they protested. When neighborhoods were integrated, they rioted. Or what about post-civil rights era? 1970s to 1990s, Boston busing crisis. White crowds throwing rocks at buses carrying black children. Anti-busing marches framed at parent rights. Flags, signs, mobs. This is where I'm not racist. I just care about my kids got popular. Protest. Or what about even now? The 2000s to present. Unite the Right rally. Torches, chants, violence in defense of whiteness. Y'all remember the one in Virginia. Or anti-CRT and book ban protest. Packed school board meetings nationwide. Well, what about the most recent, Well, not so recent, but January 6th, Capitol riot, mass mobilization to stop democratic process. Baby, these weren't isolated incidences. These were organized responses to perceived loss of power. So I want us to stop acting like white folks don't know how to protest, or they just discovered resistance. Protesting has been in their DNA. White folks have always protested when their power felt threatened, proximity to black people increased, or when the rules stopped centering them. So like I said before, and I'll say again because I thought we made this very clear, baby, we're not coming. We're not coming. Yeah, because we've been warned, folk. Yeah, and some of y'all called it dramatic until it landed at your doorstep. And here we are. Here we are. Yeah.